Hi, welcome to another episode of Art Source. We're always looking for greener ways to stay clean in the studio. So why not come up with a method where you could have a cleaner, smoother paint palette that eliminates those styrofoam plates and plastic palettes that you have to toss in the trash. Here's an easy, quick fix tip on how to stay a little bit neater, cleaner, and greener in your studio. So starting off with everyday items that we have, you can take prefabricated frames that include the glass and mat and actually take them apart and use all the pieces for this project. Maybe you want the frame for your canvas or panel artwork, but once you have it separated, you can take the items apart. And what I like to use this piece for is I actually tape my reference images to them, and especially when working with students, and then this can sit on the easel so that they can look back and forth with their painting here next to it. So that's how I get use out of that, or it could also be a drawing board. But most importantly, I'm going to take the glass out of this frame, being very careful of the edges. And I can use the wooden frame for my canvas or panel art. It's not the highest recommended source for me, but in a pinch it will work for something that I'm trying to do, or if you're just getting started, it's a great way to use frames to just begin learning how to frame your artwork and get set up. So I'll take the glass from the actual artwork, and that is how I will create my eco-friendly palette that I'll be working from, that I can actually keep my paint on. Okay, so showing you how to do that, you'll actually want to take your glass and you want to remove any items or residue that may be on the glass surface, like stickers or mark making. So I'm going to just spray with some rubbing alcohol, or you could use any window cleaner or non-invasive glass cleaner, and you just give your glass a good wipe on each sides. A razor blade or paint scraper will take the stickers off, no problem. And then you just make sure that both sides are completely fingerprint free and crystal clear and clean. And being careful of the edges at all times. You may even want to wear some safety gloves for this. And then what you can do is you can take some of the foam core board that you can find at the dollar store. Sometimes it's pre-cut, sometimes you can cut it to suit. And what you're going to do is you're going to make sure that it's the same size as your glass. So if you're buying a sheet, you'll probably need to pre-cut it to the size of the glass that you're actually working with. And then I'm going to take some masking tape. You can use painter's tape, but it's not quite as protective as the duct tape. The duct tape has a little bit more of a coating on it that protects the hands and fingers. But for the purpose of this, I'm going to use the tape that I have right here accessible. And you can tear off a piece. And what you're going to do, once you have the painter's tape, is you're going to overlap it so that it's halfway concealing the edge. And again, I prefer duct tape because of the protective coating. And then I'm going to fold it over, and that will secure the edge so that it's not sharp and you don't get adherence to the actual board. You can actually take the tape off if you need to. If the glass ever breaks or cracks, you can replace it, etc. But I'm going to go around a perimeter there, just like my example that's been lovingly used here. I have a perimeter all the way around so that this, you can see this coating really is a lot more durable, so I don't have to worry about edges of the glass or anything like that. It's really easy to handle. Now, how do we clean these palettes and keep them greener? So whenever you have paint color on your palette, and this was some phthalo blue from a previous class, what I can do is take some isopropyl alcohol, and I just keep it in a spray bottle in the classroom, and the alcohol evaporates pretty quickly, so I'm just going to give it a couple of sprays. You can also use a fine mist bottle with just water. That would be fine too. It doesn't have to be alcohol. I just find that alcohol does a better job, especially when the paint's been sitting. And then I just take a putty knife or paint scraper, and I just gently just move it across the surface. And the longer that the alcohol or the water is there, I don't even have to apply pressure. So it's not like I have to manually or heavily, take charge with this. I can just kind of glide it across the surface. I don't want to oversaturate, because the more that water is pulled up on this, you can see that there's clearly no running water on it. Then the more paper towels I have to use to clean it, and the whole idea is to be greener. So I'm actually taking the paint, the paper towel that I cleaned my brushes with throughout the paint session, and I'll just wipe the surplus down. And again, I'll just glide across the surface here. And once I have all my substantial residue up, I can wipe this. Then I can just fold this over. I'm going to give one more gloss with the rubbing alcohol. And I'm just going to wipe down the surface until I get all the remaining residue off. And then my palette's clean and ready to use for something else. I can use this for oil, acrylic, watercolor. I can just keep cleaning off the glass as long as the surface is clear. It's a-okay. You can also use a gray coloring underneath, which will make your colors stand out a little more. I just have a difficult time finding gray foam core board. And then you can get your favorite funky pattern. So you can make it all kinds of fun and exciting for you, so that you can personalize your little palettes. This is the pink giraffe print. And then just make them your own. I like to use these in class. I just have to be careful when I stack them. I always stack them upright so that there's not pressure on the glass, so that it doesn't break. And just being mindful and careful that it is glass, so I want to be careful about the way I handle it. Also, not all discount frames are created equal. So if it's a really inexpensive frame, the glass may be super thin and a lot more brittle. So I try to get something, that has a pretty decent width to it. Again, you won't be able to tell in the store, but if you're using something, you can see the thickness of that glass, so that the foam core really supports the weight being put on it. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this episode of Art Source, and if you like this, please subscribe for more studio tips and techniques. We'll love to see you next time.